Okay, I'm filming this a bit early, so it may not be 100% comprehensive because there's still a couple more days left in the month, but I'm taking some books home, so I wanted to film my video with the actual books instead of just like putting pictures up. Hello lovely people, it's Nicole, and today I am bringing to you my September wrap up. So far, still have a couple more days left in the month, but so far it's been a pretty good month. I have a large pile of books next to me, so let's just jump right in. The first thing I have is actually a comic book bind up, and that is The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl Volume 1 Squirrel Power. If you have not read The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl comics, I highly recommend you go out right now and pick up this trade paperback of the first, I think, 5 or 6 issues. So funny, so clever. Doreen is adorable and charismatic and weirdly relatable for the fact that, you know, all her best friends are squirrels. Also, her roommate has a cat, and she's very in love with her cat, and I feel it. I feel it on a spiritual level. I absolutely loved this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I cannot wait to see more from Squirrel Girl. Next book I read is Queen of Shadows. Oh, it's so big. This thing is huge. If you don't know what Queen of Shadows is the latest, not the last, the latest book in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. And oh my gosh, I can't say what the plot of this one is because it's, you know, spoilery, but it's amazing. It is beautiful and it is amazing and I love it. Just all the like character development that happened in this one, and it feels like, you know, the stakes keep getting higher, things keep getting more exciting. I absolutely loved this. I gave it 5 stars. Next book I read was George by Alex Gino. This is a middle grade book about a girl who is struggling with being transgender. She's not out of a closet yet, and she's dealing with, you know, being misgendered at school, being misgendered by her family, and just the various things that she's dealing with mentally and socially as a result of her gender identity. I think this is a fantastic book that needs to exist, and I'm very glad it does, and I think that more young people need to read diverse books like this. The plot was a little bit simplistic for my taste, but I think that because it's dealing with such, like, difficult issues that aren't often talked about to young people, I can understand why it was simplistic. So I gave it 4 stars, but I highly recommend that you read this, that your little siblings read this, that everyone reads this. The next book I read was More Than This by Patrick Ness, and it has a door. I like this. I like the aesthetic of this book. Anyway, this is about a boy who wakes up and everything's weird. He's in the house he grew up in England that he hasn't lived in for years. Everything's just completely desecrated around him. No one is there, and he can't figure out what happened. He keeps getting flashbacks of his life, but he doesn't know how he got there or what's going on, and it's just him sort of trying to figure out what the hell happened. This book was kind of weird. It wasn't at all what I expected. I expected it to be significantly more like realistic contemporary based, and it was much more sort of offbeat, weird, almost sci-fi kind of. Not really, but kind of. It's really hard to describe. I feel like I respect and appreciate what the book was trying to do and like the plot lines, but a couple things just didn't fully connect with me. I don't know, it's hard to describe because I did like it. And I'm glad I read it, and I think it was really interesting. I just didn't really like fully emotionally connect, I think. And the ending just wasn't enough for me. I don't want to say too much about the issues I had with the ending because I don't want to spoil it, but I'm just going to leave it at that. I gave this 4 stars. The next book I read was The Copper Gauntlet by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare, 2 of my favorite authors. This is the 2nd book in the Magisterium series, following a young boy named Cal who is attending a magic school that his father never wanted him to go to. And I liked this. I didn't like it quite as much as the first one. I feel like I was missing a lot of the really fun, just like boarding school magic vibes, learning kind of thing that I really liked about the first one. This was more of like an adventure type thing, and it felt like a lot of the more like learning what's going on and learning about magic kind of things were more brushed over. And I really kind of missed that. Although near the end, things did pick up and get way more interesting, which I feel like is sort of the trend with these books. So I will continue with the series, but this just was not my favorite installment. I gave it 3 stars. The next book I read was Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, and this book. Colleen Hoover is just... I'm trying to space out how quickly I read her books because I just want to inhale them, and I only have 1 more that I have, like, that I own. I need more money to go buy more of her books. But, oh my gosh, this book is amazing. I love Colleen Hoover. She's fantastic. Anyway, this book is about a girl who moves in with her brother and meets her brother's next door neighbor. And they strike up sort of a friends with benefits type relationship, but he is very set on the fact that he will not fall in love with her. And she should not fall in love with him, and things happen from there. The character development in this, because most of this book is focused on, you know, character building and their relationships, and character development is really sort of the main focus of this book, and it was just beautifully done. I went through just the whole spectrum of emotions within like 50 pages of this book. I was crying and I was laughing, and it was amazing. I definitely had those moments where I just had to like put down the book and process what just happened. If you have not picked up Colleen Hoover's writing yet, do it. Please do it, because it's fantastic. 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Super Mutant Magic Academy by Jillian Tamaki. This is a series of like short little vignette comics that follow the students of this school, all of whom are sort of mutants or have some sort of magical power type thing, and it's weird and kind of quirky and really interesting. I really liked how it really did feel just like random moments grabbed from a high school experience, and a lot of the specific things and specific people had things about them that were mystical or weird, but sort of the base like emotions and what was going on felt really just, oh my god, you know, I've been there, dude, high school, right? I really enjoyed that. I also really enjoyed watching sort of every once in a while there would be a little reference to a previous comic, and then, you know, sort of things eventually, you know, all built and came together really well. It wasn't perfect for me. I found it really difficult to sort of keep track of all the characters, but overall, really just a fun, like, collection of comics. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read In Real Life by Jen Wang and Cory Doctorow. This is about a girl who is introduced to this online gaming, it's like a role-playing magic type thing, and it was not what I expected. I feel like I would have liked it more if I'd known what I was getting into, because I expected it to be mostly focused on the magic and on the gaming and sort of the parallels between gaming and real life and dealing with that. but it was more of a, like, economical based thing, which was weird. And I get it. Like, now in hindsight, I can appreciate it. It was just weird going into it and expecting something completely different. And so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next book I read was The Antagonist, book 1 by Burgundy Rakoska. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. But basically it's this disabled girl who really wants to join the big superhero crew, but because she's in a wheelchair, they won't let her. And she realizes that they're kind of jerks and joins up with their mortal enemy, who turns out to be not as bad as they make him out to be. This was so good. Absolutely incredibly diverse cast. People of color and people who are disabled and dealing with mental illness and of a whole just range of sexualities. Some really, really interesting lore, wonderful character development. I was kind of amazed by it, and I am so excited to read the next one. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was The Winner's Crime by Marie Rutkowski. This is the sequel to The Winner's Curse, which follows a girl named Kestrel, and she is dealing with a whole bunch of things that are hard to explain. Read the first book. I can't explain it. It's really complicated. But I enjoyed this one, and I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I went into it not remembering a ton about the first one. I remembered the basic plot, but I didn't remember any kind of connection to the characters, or any emotions that I had about it whatsoever. And so I went into this sort of just feeling like, okay, this has been sitting on my shelf for a while, I just need to get through it. But it surprised me, because I got really pulled into this world, which was just fantastically built and so just atmospheric, and the characters were intriguing, and I was rooting for them. I wish we'd gotten more of Erin, but I understand, like, various things. Yeah, I really liked this, and I'm more interested than I thought I would be to read the third book in the series. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Filthy Shakespeare, Shakespeare's Most Outrageous Sexual Puns by Pauline Kiernan. This is pretty much just exactly what it says. It goes through various Shakespeare plays and talks about all the hilarious double meanings and puns that are all very raunchy and inappropriate. And it was fun, but I do think that a number of the various double meanings that were implied and stated to be there were a bit of a stretch. I mean, there are a lot of really inappropriate jokes in Shakespeare, but I think the number of them that were in here were just pushing it a little bit too much, which was kind of annoying, but overall it was still a really entertaining book to read. I gave it, I think, 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Percy Jackson's Greek Heroes. This book is huge and very heavy. This is just tales of Greek mythology told by Percy Jackson. Oh my gosh, I love Percy Jackson's narration so much. He's so just funny and sassy and clever and wonderful. I adore him. I missed reading from his point of view. He has this fantastic way of, while he's telling the stories, he makes parallels to his own life and makes jokes and makes fun of how unpronounceable half the names in here are, and makes a lot of sort of anachronistic references and changes to the stories, but not in a way that makes them unrecognizable or not still the same story. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Saga, Volume 5. I love Saga. I love Saga so much. This volume just, you know, stakes keep going up. Things keep getting more intense. It keeps getting better. I feel just intense emotions while reading these. I keep having moments where I have to like put them down and just in shock Oh, they're so good. And I highly recommend Saga if you have not read it. It's so good. That's all I can say about it. It's so good. 5 out of 5 stars. And the last book I read this month was Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs. I'm not going to talk too much about this because I've already filmed a full review, which I will link in the doobly-doo. This is the last book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. And it was beautiful. You can watch the full review if you want to know more. 5 out of 5 stars. Alright, so those are all the books I read this month. Let me know what you thought of these books or what you read this month. I love you, and I will see you later. Bye!